The night was supposed to be unforgettable, but not like this. Fans are stunned, insiders are whispering, and social media is spiraling out of control. Busta Rhymes and DaBaby thought they were walking into another glamorous industry gathering, the kind of night filled with flashing lights, celebrity smiles, and champagne toasts. Instead, what happened behind closed doors has the internet on fire. Whispers of a mysterious tape, rumors of shocking behavior, and questions about loyalty, reputation, and truth are tearing through the music world. People who were once close are now pointing fingers. Some say it's all smoke and mirrors. Others swear there's proof. Emotions are running high as clips resurface, voices tremble in interviews, and cryptic posts from insiders fuel the storm. Fans are left asking the same question: what really went down at that party? Was it just another night in Hollywood, or the start of a scandal big enough to shatter careers? Tonight, we're diving deep into the chaos. From secret whispers to explosive confrontations, from family ties to fan outrage, this story has everything. Buckle up, because Busta and DaBaby's party nightmare is only just beginning. The night was lit with flashing cameras and whispers that refused to stay quiet. Busta Rhymes had been a legend for decades, a man known for his energy and power on stage, while DaBaby, once the face of raw street success, had been fighting to hold on to the spotlight after a series of public meltdowns. When their names became tangled in talk of Diddy's infamous late-night gatherings, fans couldn't believe it. Yet, as more voices came forward and clips began to resurface, people started wondering if the rumors weren't just another round of internet exaggeration, but something darker beneath the shine. Industry insiders spoke about those parties in hushed tones. The invite list was never clear, the rules always shifting, and the whispers always louder than the music. Andas were shoved in faces before drinks were poured, phones locked in cases before guests crossed the threshold. And yet, footage still seemed to slip out years later, as if the walls of that mansion couldn't hold back the chaos forever. The story of Busta and DaBaby being at one of these nights spread like wildfire, not because anyone had hard proof, but because the energy of the rumors matched the downfall arcs already shaping their careers. DaBaby's spiral had been public, messy, and heartbreaking to watch. From attacking fans in the crowd to shouting reckless words on stage, he carried himself like a man who had something to prove. His apology videos only dug him deeper, doubling down instead of showing remorse. Every outburst turned into another meme, another reason for brands to distance themselves, another headline about his career burning out. So when whispers tied his name to Diddy's after-parties, the internet didn't hesitate to connect the dots. People said his erratic behavior was a reflection of hidden demons, and those demons had been nurtured in the shadows of celebrity mansions where the rules of the outside world didn't apply. Busta, on the other hand, had always been larger than life, untouchable in his stature. But even his name wasn't safe when insiders began speaking out. Toni Newman, a figure with her own ties to those circles, once claimed that the wildest rumors weren't made up at all. She spoke of stars sliding into freaky scenes behind closed doors, of famous men who preached one image in public but lived a different truth in private. She didn't hesitate to mention Diddy and Busta, sparking questions that fans never stopped replaying. And when old clips of Busta hugging Diddy a little too close, laughing a little too freely, resurfaced on Twitter, people said it looked like receipts hiding in plain sight. The shock grew when Orlando Brown's long-dismissed rants were pulled back into the spotlight. The man had been written off as unstable, someone who said wild things for attention. But years later, fans listened again and felt a shiver. He had claimed Busta wasn't just a visitor at these secret parties, but a regular, a man with deeper ties than anyone wanted to admit. People laughed at him back then, but in the context of Diddy's lawsuits and the sudden flood of resurfaced footage, those words sounded less like nonsense and more like a puzzle piece. The internet doesn't forget, and it loves a theory. So, screenshots of old interviews went viral again, fueling the storm. The more this story spread, the more fans began digging through the archives. Every strange interaction, every cryptic lyric, every backstage clip became evidence in the court of public opinion. There was the moment DaBaby bragged in an interview about being singled out at one of Diddy's private gatherings. At the time, it sounded like harmless flexing, a young rapper proud to be noticed by a titan of the industry. But now, with all the chatter, it was played back with suspicion. Why had Diddy cleared the room for him? Why was he called special? And why did DaBaby's career seem to crash not long after those invites kept rolling in? Fans speculated wildly, saying maybe the spotlight came with strings attached, strings too heavy to hold. Then there was the clip of Busta embracing DaBaby outside a club on New Year's, voices full of warmth and laughter. "Chocolate brothers," one said. "Baby," the other replied. To some, it was nothing but brotherly love, the way artists lift each other up. But to those already convinced by the rumors, it was more fuel to the fire. Screenshots of the video circled online with captions calling it proof of something hidden, even when there was no actual evidence beyond the bond of two men who had shared the same circles for years. Yet, once people believe a story, every image looks like confirmation. Friends and associates of both rappers stayed silent, a silence that spoke louder than any denial. No one rushed to defend, no one stepped in to clear the air. Instead, the industry moved like it always does, with cryptic tweets, sly interviews, and half smiles that left more questions than answers. 50 Cent's old jokes suddenly looked less like comedy and more like confession. The lines he dropped in interviews about partying with Diddy were replayed endlessly, fans claiming he had been spilling the truth all along in coded humor. When you string the jokes next to the footage, next to the interviews, next to the rumors, a story begins to build itself whether it's real or not. Behind the scenes, family members and friends of DaBaby were said to be worried, not about the rumors themselves, but about how he was handling the pressure. His career had taken too many blows, and the weight of constant scandal was visible in his tired eyes and slurred speeches. One cousin allegedly told a blogger that he barely recognized him anymore, that the young man who used to light up family cookouts had turned into a stranger chasing shadows. And when those words hit the blogs, they cut deep. Fans wondered if the downfall wasn't just about controversy, but about a man genuinely losing his way. Busta's camp, meanwhile, carried themselves with a different energy. There were whispers that he was furious, calling the chatter disrespectful and ridiculous. Yet, his anger only made people dig harder. Fans said it was the classic defense move. When the rumors hit too close, deny harder. Old interviews where he stormed out after being asked about gay rumors were reposted, captioned as "classic DL reaction." Suddenly, every outburst looked like proof. Every silence looked like guilt. The cycle of speculation was endless, and no amount of anger could break it. By now, the internet was buzzing with talk of a tape, an alleged piece of footage being shopped around behind the scenes. Nobody had seen it. Nobody could confirm it, but the idea alone was enough to make headlines. The mere suggestion that such a video existed turned whispers into trending hashtags. Fans filled comment sections with shock, disgust, and curiosity, debating whether the tape was real or just another myth in a city built on illusion. Bloggers swore they had sources, YouTubers claimed to have inside knowledge, and gossip forums lit up with threads thousands of comments long. It didn't matter if it was true. The spectacle had already taken on a life of its own. The irony was heavy. Both men had built careers on commanding the stage, spitting fire, and projecting strength. Yet now, their names were being tossed around not for music, but for whispers of secret nights, private parties, and scandalous tapes. The world loves to watch a rise, but it loves even more to watch a fall. And in the glare of this storm, Busta and DaBaby were no longer just artists. They were characters in a reality show that the world refused to turn off. The storm only grew louder as days turned into weeks. The blogs kept pushing new angles, each one more dramatic than the last. People said they spotted DaBaby looking uneasy at a recent club appearance, eyes darting to every camera in the room, as if he knew the whispers followed him everywhere. A fan recorded him brushing off a request for a selfie, muttering something under his breath that sounded like, "They always watching." Within hours, that clip was online, replayed frame by frame, dissected by strangers who swore it was proof he was hiding something deeper. Busta's situation wasn't much calmer. He showed up at a charity gala in New York, dressed sharp, smile wide, but the energy in the room was strange. Reporters asked about his upcoming projects, but their questions were laced with unspoken curiosity. When one bold journalist asked if he had any response to the rumors, Busta laughed it off, saying he only came to talk about music. The laugh was loud, almost too loud, and when the video of that moment hit social media, people captioned it with words like nervous, defensive, guilty. It didn't matter what he actually felt. The audience had already decided. Friends in the industry whispered that this wasn't just gossip anymore. It was a distraction threatening to swallow their legacies. DaBaby, once a hitmaker with stadiums, chanting his lyrics, was now a walking headline of scandal. His fans split in two camps, some loyal, swearing he was a victim of character assassination, others disgusted, claiming his behavior only confirmed the talk. One former collaborator hinted in a live stream that DaBaby's downfall wasn't random at all, saying, "When you play with fire, the fire plays back." Those words became a meme overnight, recycled into endless posts that tied him tighter to the chaos. At the center of it all was the mysterious tape. No one could say for sure if it existed, but the whispers refused to fade. One blogger claimed someone tried to sell them a low-quality clip. Another said lawyers were scrambling behind closed doors to shut it down. Whether true or not, the idea was intoxicating. Hollywood had always run on secrets, and fans knew where there was smoke, there was often fire. The thought of a hidden video tied to two major names was enough to keep every gossip page buzzing. Meanwhile, the old clips kept coming. A resurfaced moment showed Busta sniffing another man's jacket backstage at an award show, playful to some, suspicious to others. Fans slowed the footage down, zoomed in, and plastered captions over it that made it look like more than it was. The comments section filled with shock emojis and fiery debates, some defending him as just eccentric, others declaring it as confirmation of every rumor. The internet's verdict was swift. Once people decided on a narrative, no amount of explanation could shift it. DaBaby's family life also took a public beating. The infamous live stream with his child's mother was dragged back into the spotlight. Every clip of him calling her names, every moment of her tearful protest, was replayed as if it were happening in real time. Fans said it revealed the same reckless energy the rumors described, a man who lashed out at women but stayed quiet when confronted by powerful men. The contradiction fueled even more speculation. Was this just toxic masculinity? Or was there another layer of truth the world wasn't supposed to see? Supporters tried to push back. Some diehard fans launched campaigns online to defend their idols, flooding Twitter with hashtags like "Leave Busta Alone" and "Free DaBaby." They argued the rumors were nothing but smear tactics, distractions from the music, designed to tear down black men in power. But critics countered, saying the pattern was too strong, the clips too many, the whispers too consistent. Both sides fought fiercely in comment sections, turning every post into a battlefield of loyalty versus disbelief. As if the drama wasn't enough, more names started getting dragged into the storm. Meek Mill's association with Diddy was revisited, his friendship framed as suspicious by fans hungry for connections. People brought up Nicki Minaj's old tweets, dissecting her cryptic lines as hidden shots. 50 Cent, always ready with a punchline, reposted memes that danced on the edge of confirmation without saying anything outright. He never needed to explain. The internet did it for him. Insiders claimed that behind the scenes, DaBaby was spiraling harder than ever. Canceled. Shows, Dropped endorsements and closed doors left him frustrated and reckless. One source told a magazine that he was lashing out at his own team, accusing them of leaking information, breaking things in anger, and refusing to listen to advice. The pressure was eating away at him, and instead of slowing down, he pushed back harder, digging himself into a deeper hole. Busta's reaction, though calmer in public, wasn't without cracks. At a private event, he was overheard telling someone he was tired of the lies, tired of being dragged into other people's scandals. Yet the harder he denied, the more people whispered. Denial wasn't enough anymore. Fans wanted drama, receipts, or silence. His refusal to feed the spectacle only left the speculation to grow unchecked. What truly shocked people was how quickly the conversation shifted from music to morality. Once celebrated for their bars and energy, Busta and DaBaby were now discussed in terms of loyalty, secrecy, and betrayal. It wasn't about albums or concerts anymore. It was about what they did when the cameras were off. Fans wanted to know if the people they cheered for were the same people living in the shadows of Hollywood mansions. The real tragedy was how much this storm overshadowed their artistry. DaBaby's latest tracks barely made noise, drowned out by louder gossip. Busta's contributions to hip-hop were buried under hashtags about tapes and parties. Their reputations, once defined by talent, were now defined by speculation. People didn't care about the truth anymore. They cared about the story. As more days passed, the parties themselves became mythic in online culture. Blogs described them as twisted carnivals where nothing was off limits. One ex-bodyguard claimed he walked in on bizarre scenes straight out of a movie, people in costumes, wild acts playing out in plain view. Fans devoured every detail, real or imagined, building an image of Hollywood's underworld that only fueled their fascination. Through it all, both men stayed in the spotlight whether they wanted to or not. Every public appearance was scrutinized, every gesture exaggerated, every smile questioned. The internet was relentless, dragging up old photos, old lyrics, even childhood interviews to weave into the story. It was as if the world had decided that the party nightmare wasn't just a rumor, it was a chapter of their legacy. The tragedy wasn't just the rumors themselves, but the silence that followed. No one wanted to speak the truth, whether there was truth to tell or not. Lawyers circled, publicists worked overtime, and the artists carried on as if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Fans saw them differently now, through a lens clouded by suspicion, scandal, and endless chatter. And that lens was impossible to clean. The longer the scandal lingered, the more it twisted into something bigger than music. It wasn't just about Busta and DaBaby anymore. It was about the entire culture of secrets that fans believed ruled the industry. The whispers about hidden tapes, strange contracts, and exclusive invites began to feel like a universe of its own, where power was traded for silence and careers were built on more than just talent. DaBaby became the poster child of this narrative. Once a rising star with unstoppable momentum, he was now portrayed as the man who paid the highest price for playing too close to the fire. Every move he made fed the narrative. When he walked off stage at a small festival after being booed, fans said it wasn't just about the music. It was about the weight of secrets finally catching up with him. When he posted cryptic captions on Instagram, people read them like coded confessions. One post that simply said, "They can't break me," was shared thousands of times with comments like, "This is about the tape," and "He's finally speaking out." The truth didn't matter. The perception did. Busta, on the other hand, tried to stay grounded, doubling down on his role as a hip-hop elder. He appeared in interviews celebrating the culture, praising younger artists, and reminding fans of his history. But no matter what he said, the questions always circled back to the rumors. One interviewer slipped in a line about the wild stories floating around. And though Busta laughed it off, the tension in his voice was impossible to ignore. Fans clipped that moment and spread it across social media, calling it the laugh of a man caught in denial. Then came the resurfaced footage that reignited everything. An old video from a New Year's celebration where Diddy and DaBaby exchanged affectionate words exploded online again. The clip wasn't new, but the way people saw it had changed. With the narrative already painted, what once looked like a casual moment between friends now looked like hidden proof. Captions screamed that the smiles were too warm, the nicknames too personal, the energy too suspicious. It wasn't about what was said, it was about how people wanted to interpret it. Blogs added fuel to the fire, digging up stories from insiders who swore the parties were more than just after-hours hangouts. They described masked dancers, strange rituals, and NDAs that kept the truth sealed away. Some even claimed the tapes were real and had already been shown to a select few behind closed doors. Whether true or not, these details gave the scandal new life. The more outrageous the claims, the more clicks they earned, and the more fans believed that the party nightmare had been bigger than anyone imagined. DaBaby's personal relationships took another hit. The mother of his child was dragged back into headlines when an old livestream resurfaced, showing her breaking down as he called her names and belittled her on camera. Fans tied this to the rumors, saying it showed a man projecting his frustrations on the wrong people, unable to face the real battles in his life. Some of her supporters went on podcasts, claiming she had been through more than the public knew. Whether she said it herself or not, the internet decided her pain was another puzzle piece in the story of a man spiraling. Busta's history was also dissected.